All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday. This is a continuation of our Pinot Noir tasting, our pre-Valentine's event here, and a lot of Pinot Noir on the table this evening. We're going to go through all the California selections we had this evening. The McPhail Vineyards. This is a small producer that specializes in single vineyard wines. This comes from the Pratt Vineyard in Sonoma. A lot of thick cherry and black plum fruit here on the nose with brown spice and earthy, truffly notes. Very ripe and forward. Bouquet of aromas. This wine had a lot of sweet fruit on the tongue. Red cherry, raspberry, lovely silky smooth tannins, and a lot of exotic spice. Some cola notes and earthy notes on the finish. Excellent juice at $49.50. Saintsbury, a very famous producer from Carneros here up next with their Stanley Ranch. This one had a lot of really perfumed floral notes on the nose, some sweet cherry pie fruits and baking spices, really ripe and perfumed, very plump and ripe fruit on the tongue with smooth velvety tannins and nice balance, pretty floral notes showing through the finish there. The Sanctuary Pinot from Bien Nacido, which is a very famous vineyard from Santa Maria Valley. This is my favorite Pinot on the table. Let me tell you, this wine just had a lovely bouquet, dark cherry liqueur-like fruit, really ripe and forward, that brown spices, mint, smoky notes, really lovely complexity here on the nose, a good amount of that spice to that red cherry fruit on the tongue with a velvety, sexy texture. This wine had a lot of that spice and nuance on the nose echoing through the finish. Just lovely length here. Really well-built Pinot Noir, 2011. Most excellent juice from Sanctuary, the Bien Nacido Vineyard. All right, up next from California, we've got the Pali Riviera Sonoma Coast, which has probably been our #1 seller from California. This wine has got a lot of juicy red cherry fruit on the nose, pretty floral notes, some red licorice spice here, good amount of that sweet, juicy red cherry fruit on the tongue, lovely, smooth, silky tannins, some exotic spices, nice complexity for a Pinot Noir at this price. The Summit was up next from the Santa Rita Hills, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite appellations in South Central California. This wine had a lovely wild strawberry and raspberry coulis-like fruit on the nose, a host of exotic spice, some fresh earth, and some nice minerality in these wines from the Santa Rita Hills. This wine had a lovely viscosity on the tongue here too, velvety smooth tannins, some tongue-tingling minerality through the finish, exotic spices, pretty floral notes, an excellent bottle of Pinot Noir. The Durrell Vineyard from Pali up next. This wine's from the Sonoma Coast, and it had a distinctly earthy aroma to the dark cherry fruit here. Really thick and juicy, almost liqueur-like. A lovely hand of minerality to this wine as well. Some black truffle, exotic spices. A really well-built wine on the palate. A solid core of red and blackberry fruit. A firm hand of acidity here. And some tannins on the finish. This wine's got lovely depth and structure. And a nice long finish. This wine could use a little time at $57 a bottle. Not cheap, but good Pinot Noir is not cheap. The Duckhorn Decoy, one of the better values on the table here. This is a Sonoma County wine, and it's got some lovely strawberry jam-like fruit, pretty floral notes, really fresh fruit-driven bouquet here. Some lovely, pretty strawberry Jolly Rancher candy on the tongue with smooth, silky tannins and pretty floral notes to the finish. A very good little wine. The Migration, which we have seen a lot of this wine. Neil Bernardi was just in, the winemaker, and these wines made at a custom crush facility. Now 100% Russian River. It used to be the second label for Decoy. This wine's got for Goldeneye. This wine's got a lot of lovely, rich and fruity notes to the bouquet here. Some cola notes, something that is typical of the Russian River, and a lot of nice zesty fruit showing on the palate. A very bright with some lovely silky smooth tannins and that cola and spice showing through the finish. And this wine, excellent juice at $33. The Goldeneye up next. This is from Anderson Valley, and this is one of the best-selling Pinot Noirs, just under $50 here in the store. Dark raspberry fruit. These Anderson Valley wines have lovely structure here. Exotic oriental spice, some mint, some truffly notes there. Really nice structure on the palate. A really well-built Pinot. This wine's got some tannins on the finish, but nice balance here. A lot of fruit and lovely freshness here and lovely exotic spice. Talk about a big Pinot. We got Belglos, the Las Alturas from the Santa Lucia Highlands, which is on the Monterey Peninsula. This is Camis's Pinot Noir label, and this wine wins the award for the darkest Pinot of the night, almost like Cabernet Sauvignon to the color. Really sweet, dark cherry liqueur-like fruit, very perfumed, floral, a host of exotic spice there, some tobacco, really big bouquet of aromas. You could almost mistake this wine for a Cabernet Sauvignon, a big and fruity wine on the tongue, almost liqueur-like in terms of the concentration of fruit here, and really lovely ripe round tannins in this wine too. A big wine, but still has balance. This is a Cabernet drinker's Pinot. The Etude up next from Carneros, the label that Tony Soter created. This 2010 vintage had a nice note of fresh earth, something you get from Carneros. A light cherry pie-like fruit, along with some brown spice and truffle earthy notes here. A lot of nice soft red cherry fruit on the tongue with a nice freshness and that earthy minerality showing through that to me is Carneros. A lighter style with good minerality. All right, the Walter Hanzel was up next. The North Slope Russian River. This wine had a slightly green kind of herbal nuance to it. Really kind of a funky note to the bouquet. Really unique from all the other wines. Red cherry, cola, fresh flowers as well. Nice complexity here on the nose. Juicy red berry fruit on the tongue with a nice zest and spice and a nice velvety texture here. This wine had a lot of nice nuance from the nose showing through on the finish as well. Excellent juice. And then the Banshee. Like a Banshee, 2012. This wine, a real crowd pleaser. Lovely, pretty cherry pie-like fruit on the nose. Very clean and focused bouquet with pretty floral notes there as well. Light red cherry fruit on the tongue. This wine's really smooth and silky on the palate. Light floral notes. A real crowd pleaser style at $24. A good value. And then we got Wells Guthrie Ensemble, Tout Ensemble Pinot Noir. It's got an array of brown spice to the wild strawberry, black raspberry fruit, a touch of mint there as well. Zesty raspberry fruit on the tongue with an array of that exotic spice and tongue-tingling minerality on the finish for $28. Then the Shannon Los Alamos Vineyard Pinot. This is from Southern California. This is Jim Clendenin's vineyard. And this wine had a lovely strawberry, kind of cranberry fruit to the nose, an array of dried flowers, brown spice, a really well-built wine, even though seemingly light in style. This wine had a lot of nuance to it and nice structure. I'd like to try this wine in a couple of years. Really firm hand of acidity on the wine through the finish. Most excellent juice. One of my favorite Pinots of the night. And then the Loring wines. These Loring wines were really sweet. Almost like they had residual sugar in them. I know they got good press. The Kargasaki Vineyard, the Central Coast, the Russian River. Really crowd pleasers. And these wines kind of had mixed reviews. Some people did not like them at all, and these people claimed to be big Loring fans and just said the wines had changed dramatically in style. The Kargasaki was, like I said, just almost really sweet, as well as the Central Coast and the Russian River all had that kind of really almost residual sugar quality to them, which, these wines used to be really high in alcohol. They're 15% alcohol, 15% alcohol. So hard to believe they have residual sugar with that much alcohol, but just a really big and fruity style. All these wines from Loring, the 2012 vintage. All right, that's what we had to drink for California Pinots at our Pinot and Champagne tasting. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.